Going live. And welcome everyone to Women Speakers Association's WSA TV. I'm Laura Rubenstein, your host and producer, and here with a fabulous topic today of moving through fear and spreading your message. I'm also a digital media and marketing strategist and author of the book, Social Media Myths Busted, The Small Business Guide to Online Revenue. And you can find me today in San Diego and online at transformtoday.com. I'm super excited today. We've got a fabulous show. Like I said, we're going to be talking about how do you get through that fear and actually spread your message and make an impact. Because if we can get through that fear, we can make the impact we want. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let's go say hi to our guest experts today. We've got Christy and Anne-Marie. Hi, Christy.
Hello, Laura. Good to be here. Hi, I'm Christy Dimitrakis. I'm the president and founder of The Empowered Speaker. I'm also the author of 2 books, my newest book, which is Faith to Conquer Fear, The Journey. I am located in Kentucky, and you can find out more about me, my services, and my speaking at empoweredspeaker.com.
Great to have you, Christy, and let's say hi to Anne-Marie. Hi, Anne-Marie.
Hi, Laura. Hi, Christy. My name is Anne-Marie Cross, known as the Podcasting Queen, and I'm a brand communications strategist, and I'm located in Melbourne, Australia. If you haven't already figured out, I'm an Aussie, and you can find out more about me online on annemariecross.com.
Cross.com. Thank you so much for being here, both of you. As I mentioned, our topic is getting through fear and making that impact by spreading your message. So, Christy, I want to ask you first, what is one piece of advice, or how can you help people, or how can people move through their fear?
That is such a big topic. And what I like to teach people is what I call the art of conquering fear. And it's an acronym, ART, the art of conquering fear. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what each letter is. So A is acknowledging that you have fear. It's just like Alcoholics Anonymous, okay? The first step to recovery is acknowledging that you have a problem. And what I do is I take people through a series of statements. And if those statements resonate with them, then there's a high likelihood that they are experiencing some type of fear. Here's a couple of examples of statements that I take people through. You resist ideas and suggestions is one. You procrastinate the things that are most important. You're easily distracted, and it's very difficult to get back to your task. And again, there's 5 more questions, or statements that I take people through, and inevitably people start checking off, and I get the, oh boy, all those noises that just say, yeah, this is not a good thing. I'm not on a good path here. So the first step is to acknowledge that you have fear. The R is about understanding the root cause of that fear. So once you know that you have fear of some type, it is about understanding why. Some things are not fears that you've established because you've experienced them personally, but sometimes those fears are based on your childhood. It could be that your grandmother always said you should be afraid of X, Y, and Z, and therefore you have taken that on. So you have to really understand your fear, where the root cause is, what triggers it, and how that affects you. And then there's the T, and the T is all about taking action. So once you've acknowledged your fear, you understand the root cause of that fear. Now it is about taking some very specific steps to conquer those fears.
Wow, thank you. That really helps us move through fear, because so many of us don't even acknowledge it, and if you don't, you're really stuck, and you don't know why, and you haven't. So it's not that you don't want to acknowledge it, right? It's that you just haven't realized that, oh, this is fear, and then, oh, guess what? We can actually conquer our fear if we take these next steps. We understand where it comes from, and we take action. Brilliant.
Exactly.
Thank you. All right. So, Anne-Marie, we've taken action. We've identified this, or maybe we're in the A stage. Take us for how do we go to spread our message, and what do you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Laura. Christy, I love that acronym. So very helpful. When I think of spreading the message, particularly with how I support clients, it's around podcasting. And I know with many of the women that I speak with, before they even start their podcast, there's a lot of fear. A fear around the technology, that they're not going to be able to manage that or really get that message out there through a lot of the tech that they need to learn. Even questions around who's going to want to listen to me anyway when I've got that message? Is it just going to be sitting out there, no one really wanting to listen to it? Or perhaps even once we spread our message, we may get a bit of criticism or a bit of feedback that we might not want to hear. There's so much fear around, even, do I need to do a podcast on an ongoing basis? So I think that acronym would certainly be beneficial. The great thing is, of course, that there are solutions. You don't necessarily need to learn all about tech. All of that stuff can be outsourced. Each and every one of us has an incredible message, and that message can impact one person, it can impact 5 people, it can impact the world. And so if someone is here watching today thinking, I need to get my message out in a much bigger way, we're going to listen to how we can move through that fear through Christy. But a podcast is such a great way to get that message out there to impact the world.
And you've made it really easy based upon what you just said, Anne-Marie, so thank you for that. I know, Christy, you mentioned earlier before the show you have a podcast. Did you have to move through any fear?
Oh my goodness, that took me the longest time to want to do, and I had a lot of those fears that Anne-Marie talked about. But I also experienced the things that, will anybody actually listen? Why would anybody want to be a guest on my show? How often do I have to do this? Once I start, what if I stop? Then are people going to think I'm a failure? It just runs the gamut. So yeah, I understand exactly what she's saying.
And I assume you've used your own techniques to help move through that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great. And Anne-Marie, do you have any experience with people like Christy who have those fears and helping them move through them?
Yeah, one of the things that I say to my clients is a podcast is just a means and a mode of communication. It's a way to get that message out there. So typically we think of a podcast as a weekly show, or here we've got a term in Australia, fortnightly, so it's bi-monthly, so every second week. But you know what? I say find out what is the outcome that you want. Always start with the end in mind and then work your way backwards. You don't need to have an ongoing show. You might have a specific series, and that series is part of your list generation tool that gets people, knowing about what it is that you are wanting to share. So it's how do you want to use that? And then you look at programming, timing, all that kind of thing. But the podcast is just a means and a mode of getting your message out there. There's nothing to fear whatsoever.
Well, thank you for putting us at ease for that. We're getting lots of hearts and love on that. So thank you, everyone who's watching. And now I want to get to know you just a little bit better. Tell us, who do you work with and what do you do with them? What do you specialize in and what are you most passionate about, Christy?
Well, my background is corporate America. I have worked in corporate America for about 25 years now. I know I'm dating myself, but what I have found that over the years, between my corporate experience and the work that I do with the Empowered Speaker, is I typically draw women and corporate professionals. I also tend to draw those aspiring entrepreneurs because I'm kind of a foot in both worlds. I'm in corporate America, but I also have the Empowered Speaker as my business. So that's really who is drawn to me and who I'm drawn to on a daily basis. And so that's really, when you think about women specifically, that's why I'm so passionate about conquering fear, because as women, that is such an issue for us. That is such an issue for us. And it holds us back in more ways than not. And when I think about my background is sales. That's what I've done my whole career. And I've had a lot of leadership opportunities in there as well. And I also coach people on public speaking and presentation skills. So if you think about fear holistically and how that can help you to improve your sales, improve your leadership abilities, and become more powerful communicators, that's all just a perfect package and really does help people.
Love that you're using fear to move forward. Don't use fear to stop you. Don't be afraid of fear.
Absolutely.
I think that's a quote.
Yes.
That's great. Don't be afraid of fear, really. It's just fear after all.
Exactly.
So how did you come to this work exactly?
Well, I have, in 2007 is when I started the Empowered Speaker. And in 2010, I wrote my first book, which was Faith to Conquer Fear, Inspiration to Achieve Your Dreams. And when I wrote that book, I did not write it because I always had this aspiration of writing a book. I strictly needed some backroom product to sell. I said, if I'm going to do this speaking thing, I need something to sell. And the book that came out of me was not at all what I would have intended. But the writing of that book showed me what my true passion was and what my true purpose was. And that was really to help people to overcome the fears that are limiting us and keeping us from walking in our highest God-given potential. And so that's really how it came to be. It started with that first book, Faith to Conquer Fear, Inspiration to Achieve Your Dreams. And it has just transformed since then. I started the radio show or the podcast right after that. 7 years later, I wrote this second book, and I trademarked the brand. So it really is a message that I know is so, so important for people.
Fabulous. Congratulations on all your success and where it's taken you and going with it. And Anne-Marie, I want to drop back into you and say, tell us about you. Who do you work with and what are you most passionate about?
Well, I work with women entrepreneurs, specifically professional service-based businesses, but I'm finding over the last 18 months that is expanding a little bit into as people are recognizing that podcasting is a great way to share the message. But what I'm really passionate about, and it just beautifully aligns with what Christy is saying today, that many of us do have a message to share, and it's about getting it out there in a way that is going to impact, that people are going to be able to find it and listen to it and be moved by that, moved and, transformed, because so many of us are stuck, or our ideal clients are stuck. And a great way to share that is through sharing your message with a podcast. So one of the things that I'm finding with the women that I'm working with, they really are disrupting their industries, but not disrupting in a negative way, disrupting by challenging the status quo and saying, why is it that way? Why can't we do it differently? Through innovating, through, being a game changer, but one of positivity. And that was one of the reasons I started my very first podcast back in 2008. And for those of you who remember back at that time, that was when the global financial crisis hit. And many people, I was working in the career industry then in communications and branding, but more personal branding. And a lot of my colleagues, we were finding that through the doom and gloom being portrayed by traditional media, many of our clients, many of our, women and men were very disillusioned. So the passion that started our podcast was we needed to be a voice of inspiration and hope, to show people there are possibilities and opportunities out there, because there were. We just needed to change our approach. We just needed to look at different ways of getting out there and speaking to potential employers. And that's what we can do with a podcast. All of us who have a message, we can be a voice of inspiration, one of hope, one of empowerment. And that's what I'm really passionate about, helping women to be able to really define, what is my disruptive message? Maybe there is an angle, maybe you're doing something differently that really can cut through the noise. As many of us know, I think studies now show that 57% of the buying decision is made online. So it's so important to have great quality content out there, and a podcast is certainly going to enable you to do that. So what am I passionate about? Helping other incredible women, game changers, innovators, disruptors, bring their message out to make a change. And one of our logos or slogans is impacting the world, changing the world, one message at a time. That's what I'm passionate about.
That's so awesome. Do you have an example story of how you did that with one woman?
Yeah, absolutely. Just one of my recent clients, she may eventually have a podcast, but she's going to be developing a series. And she's just brand new in her business. She started her coaching business not so long ago, and her ideal clients are CEOs. Now, Christy, your background is in corporate, and you know how hard it is to have a conversation with the key decision makers. So what we did was we devised a strategy. It's so important. And so I said to her, well, you really need to identify what are some of the key challenges for CEOs in their business. And so she devised a great strategy where what we're going to do, or she's going to do, is to reach out to some of them, do a very short interview to capture what are you struggling with, what are the challenges moving ahead in 2018. And then what we're going to do together is develop a podcast for her where she's going to deliver solutions, and then she's going to use that as part of her lead generation and get that content out there. And it's going to speak directly to what the challenges and the problems that her CEOs are struggling with. She sent out an email, and within half a day, she got a response directly from a CEO of one of the top, I won't say who it is, but CEOs of one of the top retailers here. I'm interested. What is this? Tell me more. Now, she would not have been able to do that had she tried to go the traditional path of going to networking events, going through gatekeepers, but doing the strategy immediately tweaked his attention, and now the conversation, they've made a time to connect. That's, again, mode and means of getting your message out there. It's just a step in the process, but it's powerful.
I love what you're doing with quote unquote podcasting, not just having a podcast, but just being able to connect with other people, because you're planning a podcast, right? You're planning something that can be a benefit to them. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, both of you, helping people move through their stuff so they can get their message out. Speaking of that and what we do here at Women Speakers Association, I want to know a little bit more from each of you about what is the benefit that you love receiving or have received and value from Women Speakers Association. I'm going to go over to you, Christy.
Yeah, so I am still very new to the Women Speakers Association, but even in this very short time, I am getting a ton out of it. What I love is the premier calls and being able to interact with other women. Having people look at my eSpeakers profile was so helpful, and being able to look at others and get some best practices and ideas. And one of the things that has helped me the most that I really enjoy about it is the Facebook page, the premier Facebook page. So I'll give you an example, Laura. One of the things that I have been tasked with doing, I've had so many people since I started writing my books come to me and say, Christy, can you please help me figure out how to write my book? I need help. I need to know how to do this. I need to know how to do that. And so finally, I accepted the call and I put together an online writing course. I literally just launched this a week ago. But before I did that, I used the Facebook platform to ask the question of the WSA Premier members and said, if you were to participate, if you're interested in writing a book and you were to participate or consider purchasing an online writing course, what would you want included? And I got great feedback from members of the community that really helped to shape the course that I designed. So that's a very practical but yet meaningful way of getting input from the members as well as the WSA organization for me.
Awesome. Yes, the Facebook group is very powerful that way. So just fabulous. All right, I want to go to Anne-Marie, and tell me, Anne-Marie, what is the value and the benefits you've received from Women Speakers Association?
Where do I start? I mean, Women Speakers Association has such a great collaborative community of like-minded women who are up to absolutely amazing things. And that saying, you are the sum of the five people that you hang out with. Well, we get to hang out with people from all over the world who are doing great things. And of course, just recently, I had the honour to collaborate with WSA, and we've started Speaker Success Podcast. The information that I have learned through interviewing, and of course you were on the show too, Laura, and it's just amazing. And so the collaborations, the advice, the support, I think, being part of a community that understands that maybe have gone through challenges and they're able to support you in that way is just incredible. And I think, when you find communities like that, I mean, embrace them and really treasure them, because they're the ones that are going to lift you up, and amazing. So what have I achieved through that? It's the connections, it's the collaborations, and it's fun. A lot of these women are up to fun stuff too. So, yeah.
Indeed, we are up to fun stuff, and we would love for you to join us at Women Speakers Association. We have a free level of membership waiting for you, our associate membership. All you have to do is go to joinwsa.com. You may be able to see it on the screen here. And if not, it's simply joinwsa.com. And just go ahead and take advantage of our Speaker Success Plan. You can go ahead and listen to the Speaker Success podcast and do what Christy and Anne-Marie have done and join the sisterhood. If you want more visibility, you might consider that premier level, because we have so much value to offer you in getting you the visibility that you deserve, getting your message out through the support of our collaborative network here of everything. So thank you again, both of you, for being here. We've had a tremendous show on how to move through fear and spread your message through podcasting. Invaluable stuff. That you guys are a power team to help women and people around the world go global and make the world a better place. So we'll be back again. Next week we're having a celebration. So we're inviting our Premier members to come on with us. And if you'd like to be a part of that, please message me here on Facebook, and if you're a Premier member, and we'll put stuff in the Facebook group for you on the Premier member side too. And we're celebrating successes and wins, and congratulations for a great 2017 so far. We'll be with you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.